guys, welcome to the first episode of what I am calling the passenger seat. You guys might know me from a couple other things I've done on the internet. I've worked with an airsoft field called Tac City Airsoft. I've worked with a pet production company called Pet World Insider. And I've been doing podcasts and mini shows and all kinds of other stuff for a bunch of different people. But I felt I needed to do something for myself. And honestly, I don't know what this is going to be. I don't know what it's going to become. I'm just doing this because I have all this equipment and it seems like it's going to waste sitting in bags when I'm not using it for other people. So I felt like having a podcast show thingy-majigger that I get to kind of talk about everything that we do, everything that I personally do, and like feelings I have for movies and video games that I don't play really that much.
So a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. But we are in my car, and this is what we're going to be doing. I'm going to be having guests on, and the perfect first guest is someone who's been in almost half of my life, actually. We've been together for 14 years, going on 15.
Yeah, 14 and a half almost.
Yeah, almost a half year. And we are making a big, giant step really close to this when we're recording this. We're going to be making a move across a couple states. And so we're making a leap, and I think the person to kind of talk to and share parts of my life and like get deeper into kind of my, I don't know what like world, I guess, would be Kristi, my girlfriend.
Hello.
So, you are on Instagram as DelightfullyKristi, and Snickety Witch is part of your
That's my Harry Potter channel.
Your Harry Potter channel, but it's also like your sales and like custom and stuff that shows off like
and all things nerd and
maker kind of thing that you do.
Yeah.
And we are both people who do a lot of like DIY making and creating. We're both creative people. Our degrees that our background, I have a multimedia degree, you have a film degree. You're right now studying and going back to school for school. For children.
It's called early childhood development.
There you go. Thank you. I was getting there eventually. And that's one thing you're working on towards, so that you have a higher degree in that as well. But you are currently a preschool teacher.
Yep.
I am currently a technician supervisor / live media producer for Tac City Airsoft. And so for some of you guys who might be watching, you guys might be familiar with me from there. But we do a lot of stuff, and it's one of those things that I don't know. We started off. This is the second time we've tried to shoot this episode.
That's right.
So just to be straight up with you guys, the first one, it didn't fail miserably. We had a great time talking.
Oh my gosh,
it
came out so good, except that it didn't because the equipment failed.
I had way too much equipment. I had high hopes for the first production, and now I'm scaling it back down to make it a little easier to manage.
3 cameras.
3 cameras. We also had a wireless network in my car.
Yeah.
That caused the fault of what we were having. So, but here's the thing. I'm going to be putting up some of those clips up because there are some salvageable moments, and some of those things will be little snippets and things like that as we go forward with this. I have actually filmed a second episode with a friend of mine, Freddie, which you will see after this one. Or it might be the third. I have a couple people lined up as well. But that was my second test subject, basically. So we were able to get a lot of the kinks worked out. And we're back at it again. So we're going to talk a little bit about how we got started, I guess. And that was where we kind of fall into the whole trap of this whole idea. I don't know. But
trap of what? What?
I don't know. I'm lost for words right now. It's been 2 days of 12-hour shifts and then a good early morning shift, which I don't really do too many on the morning shifts. I know that's your thing.
Yeah.
But we are, I don't like the term necessarily, but we are high school sweethearts in the sense.
We've been together since high school.
We have been together since high school.
We got together senior year of high school.
Although
we technically met officially junior year, which I didn't remember until after we had already become a couple. But you have your little story about when you first...
Well, because when I first
saw
you, and so, again, I preface this by not saying, like, I wasn't. It was attraction, like physical attraction first, I guess. But there was 3 girls in my freshman year that I felt that I wanted to date, and you were one of them. And it was all in PE class. Actually, all 3 of you guys. And
all the freshmen have to take their like freshman PE class.
And
so.
I might have this story completely wrong, but this is the way I remember it. Is that all of us had PE classes, whether they were in the same like
actual
PE
class
teacher or not, but I think it was all the same period. And I don't know, it just one of those like young high school hormonal boys, and we're like, I want to date.
There's a cute girl.
Yeah.
I want to get to know her.
I want to get to know her. The other 2 I did get to know, and just wasn't any kind of like attraction after that. And then you like you said, junior year we met. It was superhero day.
It was so funny. No, I get to tell it.
Okay.
So we had like these theme weeks at school, and that day happened to be superhero day. But the funny part is that one of my very best friends, you've actually known her since kindergarten, right?
Yeah.
And you guys have been friends since then. I didn't know at the time, obviously, but I was going to her locker with her in the morning for some reason. And so we're at her locker, and I'm just standing there waiting. And then up strolls Derek wearing a full cowboy getup. I'm talking head to toe, hat, bandana, long trench coat, jeans tucked into cowboy boots. This is superhero day, right?
It was hero day.
No, it was superhero day. Everybody else was dressed with like a cape and superhero.
The American cowboy was a superhero
that was
at the time.
his excuse that he was the original American hero, okay? And me being, I don't know what I was thinking, but you would think I would be like, oh my God, what a weirdo, right? But instead I turned to my friend as Derek's walking away and go, who's that?
Well, I was an American hero. That's who I was. And I mean, it worked.
I mean, yeah, obviously it worked. Apparently everything for cowboys, I guess.
I don't know. It was one of those things where I was like, I don't want to dress up in spandex and tights. And so I'm like, okay, I know how I'm going to trick the system. I'll be American hero.
Yeah, but I didn't actually, so we never met again or saw each other again that year. And then come senior year, and I'd completely forgotten about this meeting, but come senior year, I am in charge of our media news broadcast class, I guess we'll call it.
BBN. It was
that was the
Barron Broadcast
That was
Network.
what we put out, but that wasn't the class. But anyways, so I'm in charge of this class, and Derek comes strolling in with his friend. His friend is like, "Hey, my buddy needs to fill a credit or whatever. Can he join the class?" And I'm like, he missed summer camp, so you have to be like responsible for catching him up on everything that he missed over the summer.
Well, the thing for me is like, I knew my college years, I wasn't going to be playing soccer in college.
Yeah.
It was one of those things where I played soccer through high school, and for political reasons, I just did not like to go forward on the senior team.
Yeah.
There was a lot of drama that it was lame. And so I was like, I'm done with soccer. I love the sport, but I knew I wasn't going to be anything special in it, kind of thing. So the colleges I was going to did not have a soccer team or any kind of sports program whatsoever.
They were art schools.
Yeah. And it was one of those things where I was like, oh, my friend's like, we get to play with cameras the whole time. I'm like, okay, sure. Like, I've played with cameras in the past. I've had... there's a skate video out there that I've produced, like, I think when I was like maybe 15. I didn't know how to skate, but I knew people who knew how to skate. Well, not good, but like they knew how to skate. So like I had my mom's VHS like
camcorder.
Yeah,
camcorder.
Yeah, recording stuff, and like it was this big clunky thing. The video's retarded. But
so anyways, you joined the class. And quickly surpassed everyone else in the class skill-wise, knowledge-wise. You learned the cameras and the editing software, and I mean, just well, I fell in love with it because it was more advanced technology than I've ever had at my disposal. And so like when they said, oh yeah, you can check out cameras, I'm like, wait, I get to check out these cameras that I think that like at the time they cost about maybe $2,500 to $3,000 a piece for some of them. I mean, they were expensive for the top of the line ones that we had.
Yeah, they were mini DV cassette. They weren't like, this is, guys, we've been together 14 years, so
this is a while ago.
The digital age of what we were in.
We were still recording on little mini DV tapes.
I think
we had to
I started on Premiere Pro
record
7.
onto the computers.
I
feel like we started with
that we had to
Premiere
record
6.5.
Maybe you
or
did.
6. Well, yeah, that's true. You didn't join until
did,
senior year.
But anyways,
Yeah.
I fell in love with that, and it changed the whole direction of where I went for college, actually, because my first thing, and which again, this is another story, and we'll get a little bit into it probably at another time in another show, but my freshman year, I got put into a class called fashion technology. And the funny part is I didn't know really what it was all about. I had no clue, but I knew there was 34 or 35 other girls in the class. And there was one other guy. He was having a fit, basically. Like, he knew what the class was. He wanted out. The counselor
It was like
in,
a sewing
class.
so
it was a sewing class.
And design,
it
sewing
was
design.
textiles. It was all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
But the counselor came in to take him out, and she looked right at me, and I again, I don't know if the story, this is how I remember it, but she looked at me and said, "Did you want to be in this class?" And I looked, like, what I did is I paused and I looked in both directions and saw one guy, 35, 34 women. Yeah, I meant to be in this class. 100%. I meant to be in this class. But the funny part is the teacher was a little skeptical of me at first, because freshman boy, all these girls get it. She probably has this all the time. But she fell in love with me. I fell in love with the class. I dominated the
You were
program.
like teacher's pet right off the bat, I'm sure.
I was. And I sewed, I embroidered, I needleworked, I knitted. My cousin made fun of me, and he did this whole like back patch looking like graphic of Knitters of Doom, and it was like 2 knitting needles and the skull and everything that was like, it could have been like embroidered on the back. And like, because I would be sitting at home knitting, and I'm a freshman boy knitting kind of thing, and like
You were always and always have been very secure in your manhood.
100%.
So,
like, I have no problem with it, but I mean, I got a lot of flack for it, for sure, like, and that was fine. I had no problem. But I actually like was going to FITM. I applied to FITM. I was trying to get into the classes there for costume design, because I really loved it. And the senior year changed that because of the media class. I fell more in love with the camera side of things, and I felt, you know what? Well, if I know the cameras, I can always do costumes. And even like freshman year of college, like, we were going through thrift shops and buying costumes and all kinds of stuff. I don't cosplay. I work on your cosplays.
You help.
Yes.
I wouldn't even say. I mean, I wouldn't even say I cosplay. I just.
No, hold on. You do.
I do, but it's not like
I'm
not like a cosplayer. I just do it.
No, but
definitely just for fun.
You can't knock what you did, because
I mean, I definitely
okay. The last cosplay you did, it's
a lot
of effort. It's
level.
A lot of time.
That's another story.
But that's what cosplay is, and so we get into the whole thing. We love cons. We love going to different fandoms. We have a huge fandom for Star Wars and Harry Potter. It's one of those things, but the media, and that's what I've been doing for the past 14 years now, has been media. And so we've created, like, I've gotten opportunities to bring you along with me. We've done Van's Warp Tour. I remember that. I remember.
That was fun.
Do you remember the Gauntlet?
The most epic mosh pit I've ever seen in my entire life.
Pierce the Veil.
Oh, yes. I remember it, and it was amazing to be on the outside of it.
Yeah.
And be able to film it and see this incredible mass of human bodies, like, just come together, and I don't want to cuss, but like, it was just fucking shit nightmare, but awesome at the same time.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where, like, even when we were at Warp Tour, at the time, Pierce the Veil was not as big of a band as it is now. Or I don't know how big they are necessarily nowadays when it comes to, like, what audience draw. But, like, I've seen
But this was a while ago.
Yeah, I've seen some, like, concerts that are stadium sizes doing this. But just to be right there, because I was in the pit blocked by the barricades for the camera crew. You were in the back mix area, standing on something,
which was kind of halfway away from the stage in the very back, and so I was up on like a ledge in front of the sound mixers. So I had like almost a bird's eye view. It was really, really awesome.
Yeah, but we've gotten to do that. You've gone with a lot of the pet stuff with me filming. We've traveled across the country doing certain things for that. We've done a lot of stuff, and it's one of those things where a relationship that we have, we work very well together, and there's been our ups and downs.
For the most part,
100%,
yeah.
and there's nothing wrong with that.
We're a normal couple. We certainly have our disagreements.
We are not a normal couple at all.
Okay, well, that's true. But we have our disagreements like any couple does.
Yes, I will give you that for sure. But, I mean, that's one of the things that we get into the crazy side of things that we do, and the stuff we love to express ourselves and do stuff that way. But how do you, I don't know. Why do you put up with the crazy in the sense? Because
well, that can go both ways, obviously.
Well, that's true.
You got off track though, so to come back to that.
What? Wait, what?
Why we're together? We never got to how we actually got together. In our story, we got sidetracked.
Well, I mean,
so you joined the class.
Okay, so I joined the class, and then.
And then we kind of.
I had the balls to
flirted
ask her out.
Oh my God! Don't even. Okay, my turn. Back to me. My turn. You had a turn talking. My turn again. Okay, so he only says that because it took him, guys. He joined the class in September. It took him until December to ask me out. It took so long, and I was about to ask you out. Nope, my turn.
I was making sure it was worth it.
Okay.
I had to make
okay,
sure.
Sure.
Do all the background
Meanwhile,
stuff.
I'm like, dude, this is taking too long. Like, I'm gonna ask you out. But so we were at our friend's birthday party. It was her 18th birthday party, so she decided to have a bunch of like little kid things, kind of, and as a symbolic way of saying about her childhood. So she had like cotton candy machine and.
Was that what that all was for? I didn't make that connection at all.
Yeah.
I just thought
she had a popcorn machine, cotton candy machine. Houses. She had a bounce house. She had all this like kid stuff for her 18th birthday party. So everybody goes inside to watch this scary movie, which I'm not into scary movies.
I don't even remember what movie it was. Yeah.
I have no clue. So I decided to stay in the bounce house with you, and then our other friend was in there with us until we finally got the hint that we wanted to be alone. So he goes inside. So we're jumping for a while, and then we end up laying down on the bounce house, and we're just kind of staring at the ceiling. And finally, Derek this is how he asks. He gets up the courage, and he says, Kristi, where do you see us in the future? And so I, without even hesitating, say, together. And that has been true since that day and every day since. And now I'm going to get emotional, but really every single day.
I remember it that, like, I was, like, taking charge of the situation.
I'm sorry. You are so full of shit right now. You can't even say it with a straight face. Your voice was shaking. You were so nervous. Don't even.
Yes. I mean, I was a high school boy. I was an innocent high school boy. Like, I was, yes, I did not know the relationship status of things at the time. We didn't have, like, MySpace. Well, we had MySpace.
We had MySpace, but it wasn't even that big.
Yeah, we had, but it was one of those things where, like, yeah, I don't know if I was socially awkward necessarily. I don't know.
You were probably a little social awkward, but besides the point, I mean, it was sweet. And it was very us, and we've been together ever since. So
this is true, and we've gone through a lot. We've gone through multiple things. We've tried. I don't know what makes it work. I know people out there always question, like, how does it work? And honestly, I don't know. We're honest with each other in a lot of ways. We communicate pretty well with each other, and we do what we love. And the big thing that we've accomplished, I think, is that we both are very independent. Of each other. We don't. I'm not the jealous type. I'm not the type that says you need to be with me the whole time kind of thing.
No.
I give you your space when you need your space, and when you
and vice versa.
Yeah. And so that's where the hobbies come in that we get to do, and I get into where, like, hey, you want Harry Potter, which I don't understand it that well, but go ahead, do your Harry Potter stuff kind of thing. I mean, you're Star Wars for you, like, you're just as much of a fan of Star Wars as I am, kind of thing. So, but it's I airsoft, which is a totally nerdy thing to do. You run around with toy guns, if you guys are not familiar with airsofting, and shoot each other with plastic BBs. And so when I started, I kind of dressed up playing pretend G.I. Joe, but I've kind of changed that. I still love it. I still, like, the costume designer in me and the creative side of me, I love the aspect of it. I love the feeling of, like, oh, cool, look, I'm, like, in a costume and I'm running around. Like, we debated on the idea after watching a couple LARPing videos of potentially, like, oh, do we want to, like, LARP? Is this what we want to do?
Like, that could be fun. Maybe.
It seems like
is that
fun.
Too nerdy?
Yeah, like, we are such creative people, and such people that, like, we have a very vivid imagination.
Yeah, I think we both love the idea of, like, creating characters and then creating costumes for those characters. And
so it was,
but
like,
the actual role playing part is a little bit like, maybe it would be fun. Maybe it would just be like, this is weird. I don't know.
And I didn't know if, like, I wanted to, like, dress up medieval and all this stuff like that.
I
and
would
go
love
and like, so I'm like, and then I was spending so much time in my studio, And sitting in front of a computer, I was like, I need something to do. I need something outside of the studio. And I airsofted in my backyard with a couple friends during high school, like Springer guns, like Walmart like specials, and like Ice Cream Man like specials. I remember we went to the La Mirada swap meet and bought like pistols for like $2, and we were playing in my grandma's backyard with their trash cans as bunkers, like all my cousins. And I think we bought like maybe 40 guns because they were all $2 and like they would break. And what we were doing was buying them so that we'd have the extra magazines. And when one gun broke, we just went to another gun and had all the extra magazines. But I remember a BB getting stuck in my ear, and we all freaked out. And I think we had eye protection on it. I think we had some kind of protection, but nothing like serious.
So you could have shot your eye out.
Well, could have shot my eye out. I think I want to say I'm smarter than that, and I made everyone wear eye protection because that seems like something I would do, but I'm not 100% sure if I did it or not. So,
or if your cousins listened.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is another story.
But that was like my extent, and it never went anywhere because the stuff was way too expensive. But hey, I grew up and got a real job, kind of, and I had enough money to go buy some cool shit. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go buy some cool shit. And I'm going to go play around. And I'm like, the joke is I'm a grown-ass adult running around shooting kids in the face with a BB gun. Mm-hmm. That's what I tell people every time I do it. And I love it. But there's a lot of grown adults. You go and play now, too.
Yeah,
I've gotten other family members into it. I've gotten friends that come down. And I've made new friends from the field, which I've loved the sport. It's a lot of fun. And if you don't take it too seriously, you can have a blast. And the best part is it kind of fulfills my LARPing needs and like pretend needs, because there's a lot of cool things that happen with it. But Airsoft, I'm going to be having people on the show here, guys, from my Airsoft world. I've got some friends lined up as well, so we'll get more into Airsoft that way too. But what I wanted to do with this show is just kind of introduce what we're going to do. We're going to talk about whatever we want to talk about. A little bit of behind the scenes of who I am. My girlfriend Kristi here, she'll probably be on the show a lot more than everyone else because, hey, she's readily available most of the time. And so, hey, I need to put an episode out. Hey, we're talking about a topic today, kind of thing. But what I talked about a little bit with Freddie, and a little preview of that, was some nerdom and fandom there. And I want to get into what's coming up, because we're at WonderCon. Mm-hmm. We got to hang out. You got to cosplay.
Yeah.
But what is the reasoning behind like doing the cosplay that you do and pretending the way you do?
Well, I think the way that Airsoft is for you a way to kind of dress up and run around and do a little bit of LARPing type activity. That's kind of what cosplay is for me. There's so many characters that I love and stories that I love from Harry Potter and other fandoms. So it's fun to be able to dress up and kind of emulate those characters for a little bit. And yeah, I mean, I come from a film background as well. And so I love costume design. I was going to be a production designer, which is the whole art department, all of that. And I love making props and I love making costumes. So I get to combine my love of sewing with my love of my various fandoms, put the two together, and also dress up at the same time. Oops. So yeah, I mean, like this last one we did Harry Potter, which this last cosplay was super fun because it was something that I got to share with Ruby, who is the little girl that I used to nanny. She got into Harry Potter, which just made my heart so happy. So she wanted for Halloween to be the Funko Pop vinyl figure of Luna Lovegood. So I basically made a giant block head for her to wear. Her mom bought the rest of the costume because it was basic, jacket and pants and all that. But I made the giant head. And so I told her, Mom, if I'm making this thing, we're going to a convention and showing this off. So I decided I had to make one for myself. If she was going to wear one, I got to wear one. So I decided to do Moaning Myrtle, which is a ghost. And so I made the robe and I made the head and I dyed the robe to match and everything matched. And I put it all together and had a super fun time.
Yeah. And so you can go onto your Instagram, Snickety Witch, and you can see those photos there. I'll probably try and grab a photo from you or two to post in here.
Yeah.
I want to do some post-production on this a little bit and share some of those things. But one of the things, it is very time consuming. It is very frustrating. From times there are some breakdowns and things like that happen.
But that's always like, that's the process, that happens with anything that I make. That's like you go through ups and downs while you're going through the process of making something.
Well, it's also the sacrifices of some of our nights that we get to spend. Like, I know there's plenty of like Sunday nights, instead of me airsofting, I was here like helping with painting or something.
Yes.
And I don't know why. Yes, I don't know why you don't know how to paint with an air can that well, but
have tried spray painting. While I can physically do it, it never comes out very good, and you always do a better job, and so I think it's just better all around if you do the spray painting.
I think you're just making it so that you don't have to do it. But anyways.
But you do it so much better.
Oh, yeah. Anyways. But it is one of those things where I look back on the first idea of the head, and we were sitting at Panera. I remember us sitting at Panera. We were eating for the evening there, and you were getting so frustrated trying to figure out what you were going to do with the head because
what material to make it out of, like how to actually make it, because it needed to be huge. Like it needed to be a good 20 plus inches wide. I think it ended up being like 16 inches tall and 16 inches deep or something like that. I mean, it's huge, but also she's going to to be wearing it, so that was the big
it had to be
issue. It needed to be lightweight, and also needed to be something that was safe for her to wear. But
it was that thing where I was my experience and my stuff that I get myself into. I do a lot of research. I do probably more research on things that I don't need to research than most people do. I like educating myself on stuff. I like surrounding myself with tools and things that I can potentially use at some point. But it was an episode of Punish Props. Shout out to those guys over there on YouTube. They do amazing work and everything, but it was a foam episode that I saw on expanding foam that they were showing. And I said, well, why don't we try to like use expanding foam? I've never used it before. We looked up a couple quick videos.
Our first attempt was interesting.
Well, we ended up like getting it all over the garage.
All over. It ended up, some of it ended up on my cat.
I know, I feel so bad, but
it came off. She's fine. No animals were harmed in the making of that cosplay, but
it was a situation where like the bag, we did exactly what the instructions said to do, and then the bag exploded on us,
which it also warned us could happen, but it happened so quickly.
Like it said we had like 25-30 seconds, and it happened in like
3
5
seconds.
It was like boom, I'm covered in this stuff. We tried to get as much as we could into but the bucket
we ended up using a huge plastic tote, like a 40-gallon, I don't even know.
It made the mold basically. And
then I carved it down and blah blah blah.
It failed miserably, and so we're like, okay, so let's try a different expanding, because so it didn't fail miserably. It just was the wrong material.
It was the wrong type
of foam.
Yeah.
And it was what we ended up finding online was a better solution, and then it worked, and it still
easier to mix and pour and work with,
and it worked. But
the bag kind.
That's one of the things I love. Is kind of failing at something and learning from our mistakes and moving forward, and we have 2 great props that were created by you to show off.
And you.
But mostly you spent most of the time doing most of it. I
spent so many nights in the garage on that first head.
Yeah, I know.
Like until late. And I'm not the night owl person. I'm not the late night person. I would be in the garage until 10, 11 o'clock at night, which is super late for me. For most people, that's like normal. But for me, that was so late.
I'm on the other side of things. I'm up till 3, 4 in the morning creating stuff, designing stuff, working on things. And
I need to be in bed by like 10:30, 11 o'clock because I'm up at 6:30 every morning.
Yeah, I get it, but it's just my mindset and the way I go. Because that's the thing. We've invested in 3D printers. We've invested into die cutters, plotters. Sewing machines. We're looking at our another sewing machine. We're debating on buying it before we go or after we move. I don't know. I'm trying to minimize what we have to take with us. But it is one of those things where I am one, my dad's put it always, buy the right tool for the job. And so my car right now, from the work I do at Tac City during the day, is filled with tools. It's like the drills, the saws. I told Kristi, I'm like, well, I spent some money this week. I bought a new paint sprayer, and oh man, it's made my life so much easier at work. But those are the kind of things I like investing into those things because it makes my life easier. It's also going to benefit us for a lot of the projects we have coming up and stuff like that we want to do, to have those tools readily available. So the joke we have is our new place that we'll be moving into is gonna be like a bed and then a whole workstation everywhere throughout the rest of the house, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because we have
It'll be our personal studio / sweatshop / whatever we need it to be.
The latest thing that like I've been creating are patches, and I started off with embroidery with HTV type of transfer and designing that stuff because of the airsoft world. Morale patches are a big thing, but then I started creating these leather ones that you're helping sew, and that's why we're looking at the new sewing machine, because I don't want to ruin your sewing machine. I want to get a heavy duty one, so we've been going through that discussion on what do we get, how much do we spend, where do we get it from, all this stuff. But that's a whole nother topic that we get into there. But yeah, we do so much, and we've created so much, and it's a thing when in this day and age it seems like there's a lot of makers out there and a lot of people out there wanting to be creative, and there's a lot of outlets for us to show off stuff, and we're not people who really show off that much of stuff, kind of thing. We are, I don't know, I don't know if we're private people. So it is weird talking to a microphone and sharing.
Yeah, I mean, we're not necessarily private because obviously we live in this modern age of social media, and we've kind of both embraced it to a certain degree. Yeah, but as far as our relationship goes, we're definitely
and not just that. Like we still are. Like we're not the out. I don't know how to put it. It's not like we're not that. I don't want to say we're not outgoing type. But we're not.
Well, I would say extroverted introverts.
Sure, like.
Well, that's definitely me. I don't know if you're the opposite. Maybe you're an introverted extrovert.
I don't know. The terms and everything, that's all whatever to me, kind of thing. But it is just one of those things where, like, I love what I do so much. I could really give two shits of what other people think about what I do.
Yeah.
And that's I've always had that mentality.
But that's both of us in general.
Yeah. And so, like, again, for you guys who are watching the show, if you guys have stuck around this long, thank you so much. I appreciate it. But in the end, like, this show is for me. This show is for me to feel better about having all this equipment that I use sporadically for different jobs and things like that, but also just a way to like continue the conversation that I have, because I know what happened in the first episode. We got into the topic where I talk a lot, and that happens, but I have always loved the story of just regular people, and to say regular people is an understatement to those people, because everyone has a story. I really do love talking to people, and I used to work at a senior center, and I would get in trouble because I would sit in the apartments of some of these seniors and talking with them because they had stories to share. We get to, when I was working with the Pet World Media Group, I was able to interview people with stories of rescue dogs, cats, big animals, rescue, like you were in the cage with alligators at a rescue.
You were in a cage with bobcats. We were both in an enclosure with wolves.
Yeah, we were I forgot about the wolves.
Yeah, how could you forget the wolves? They were amazing.
We've done things, and the experience is great, but the stories that I've been able to capture and share, and because a lot of times people don't give two shits about what those people are saying and what they do and the amount of effort that they go through. And if the littlest thing I could do is capture that moment for someone else to potentially watch it, or someone else to like it, I'm not saying a million people are going to watch that episode of us talking to the tiger rescue, but if that one person saw it and appreciated what that person did, I feel like I did something, kind of thing. And so that's where, like, I just want to hear people's stories. That's where I get down to. I know you give me shit sometimes because of the times I listen to This American Life, and I love the stories that are there, and some of the podcasts I listen to, and it's
not just that. I'm just not a huge I don't like listening to people talk. My goodness. I don't like listening to people talk for extended periods of time when I feel like they're talking at me. And sometimes that's how it feels. So I have to find something that I'm interested with and that I feel I can engage with.
Yes.
It's personal preference. Everybody has their preferences.
I totally get it. My thing is, when people are passionate about something, I want to listen. I want to hear, because I don't understand a lot of things out there. But if someone out there is as passionate as they are, as I am, when it comes to cameras, because I know when I talk cameras to people, like, I see it in the back of their head.
People's eyes glaze over.
I see it. I get it. When I talk airsoft to people sometimes, like, I get it, because I have so much passion for the things I do, it can be overwhelming to people. But when I come across people that have that same passion or that drive for something I have no fucking clue about, like, I want to listen. I really do. I might not understand it. I might kind of give a very vague kind of thing. But I'm very interested. We've done so many interviews, and it's funny because we have, from when I've done the pet stuff, there's topics in there that I go, what? Okay, I don't understand any of it. But the passion of these people that are sharing their knowledge of the pet world and things like that, I appreciate. And the funny part is, some of these people, they go, how are you doing this? How are you editing this? You've watched this probably like 20 times, like, after filming it, recording it, capturing it, editing down and making it all. And I go, because it's interesting to me. Like, and I know that that's hard for some people to grasp when it's something that they're not, like, into. And I'm not I love pets, but I'm not like a hardcore pet person in that sense. But I love the passion that people bring when they were doing the work with us. And it's the same thing when I find people out in the street. Like, I forget the song, but you fall in love with someone new every day, kind of thing. And the stranger the better, like, is the lyrics. And I go, I so relate to that. Like, when I find people that just have that weird kind of, I want to know their story. And so that's what the whole game and the whole not game, but the whole idea of sitting in the passenger seat. Because in the end, like, the amount of time we spend in this car driving around talking to people who we might be just going to the movies or going to a restaurant, or just going to, like, a Walmart to pick up something, we're talking, we're having a conversation. So I don't know, I just brought the idea and said, hey, why don't I just have people sit in my car? I can take my car anywhere, basically. And it seals up pretty decently. It's a little hot in here right now, but it gets to where we got some good audio in here, and we can make it happen. So this is what we're going to try to do. And I appreciate you being on the show for the first one here. I know we didn't get into too much here, but I think we gave enough.
As usual, you did most of the talking.
Well, I mean, I am the host of the show. I mean, I probably should.
Right, but shouldn't it be about your guests?
Well, I mean, this one was about me, and you were just here to support. You were the supporting role for this one. That's how that went. But anyways, I'm
just giving you shit.
I know you are, and I'm just gonna roll with it. Like I said, you're probably gonna be on more episodes than just the one here, because you're in my life so much, and you do have a lot of experience with me and a lot of things that we've done together that we're gonna talk about and share. But I just wanted to introduce like the idea of the show, and basically go into what we're gonna go, and maybe a little bit of who I am, and more than that. But I don't know. I think this might be the end of the episode. I don't know. Is there anything else you want to get out before we close this off here?
No. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, well, okay. So I guess that's a good way to close it then. But guys, if there's topics you guys want to talk about, there's things you guys want to see, stuff like that, leave it in the comments. I don't know who's going to be watching this. I appreciate you guys staying along for the journey with me. If you guys love what you see, definitely share it, like it, do all those things that you're supposed to do on YouTube. If you don't, hey, cool. It wasn't for you. No big deal. But definitely join me on the next episode. I don't know who it will be. I have a few people lined up already, but we'll be talking all kinds of stuff. All right, guys. Thanks. See you guys next time.
Bye.